This audiobook reveals the rare secrets of the universe, the ancient laws that show your desires are not distant, but already moving toward you. As you listen, you'll understand the real meaning of its coming. The universe is responding to who you are in this very moment. Prepare to remember the power that has always lived within you. Rare Secrets of Universe. Introduction. In the silent space where consciousness brushes against creation, you are revealed as both the dreamer and the dream. The law of attraction is not a tool you wield, but an ancient dialogue, an unbroken exchange between your inner radiance and the infinite intelligence that shapes all worlds. This wisdom, guarded through centuries like a sacred flame, unveils a universe that echoes your vibration with flawless fidelity. When you finally see that the universe is never judging you, only mirroring you, the axis of your life shifts. Each moment becomes a living canvas, waiting for the hues of your thoughts to take form. You realize you have never been reaching outward. You have been awakening inward, returning to the power that has always been yours. For the field of infinite possibility answers not your requests, but your resonance, responding not to what you ask for, but to what you are. Imagine your consciousness as a timeless garden. Every thought you cradle within it becomes a living seed. The universe, in its boundless neutrality, nurtures them all. Joy returns as joy. Abundance returns as abundance, with the precision of celestial mathematics. Nothing is withheld. Nothing is delayed. The phrase, "it's coming," is not a prophecy of the future, but a recognition of the now. What you long for is already making its way toward you, pulled by the magnetism of your own being. The unfolding has already begun in realms unseen, responding to the frequency you carry in this very breath. Your task is not to strain, force, or plead, it is to align. When you rest in harmony with what you desire, you become its natural expression, as effortlessly as the tide returning to shore. This is the art of allowing, the sacred act of becoming the vessel through which your desires reveal themselves. Manifestation is not about acquisition, it is about remembrance. The moment you lift your vibration to match your desire, you shift from seeking to summoning. You become the magnetic field through which reality rearranges itself. And above all, remember this: you are not discovering these truths for the first time. You are waking up to them. They are inscribed in the very architecture of your soul, waiting patiently for recognition. The universe has been whispering them to you since the beginning. Before we get into the book, comment, "I am ready," to affirm your intention to the universe. Part 1. The Hidden Magnet of Thought. Chapter 1. The Whisper Behind Every Wish. In a small village, where stone walls marked ancient boundaries, Millie stood at her window each morning, gazing at the patch of earth behind her cottage. While others saw only barren soil, she envisioned roses climbing trellises and herbs releasing their fragrance into the morning air. Her heart whispered of abundance where her eyes witnessed emptiness. The universe speaks in the language of pure intention. When you hold a vision with unwavering clarity, you create a magnetic field that draws forth its physical counterpart. Millie's yearning for a garden was not merely a wish. It was a frequency, a vibration that rippled through the fabric of creation. She began by simply blessing the earth each morning, thanking it for the flowers that had not yet bloomed, the vegetables that had not yet sprouted. This gratitude was not pretense. It was recognition of what already existed in potential form. The universe responds not to demand, but to resonance. When you align your energy with what you seek, you become a natural receiver of its manifestation. One crisp morning, as Millie knelt in her empty garden space, her elderly neighbor, Thomas, appeared at the fence. "I've been thinning my herb garden," he said, holding out several healthy seedlings. "These plants need a new home." The universe had responded not to Millie's want, but to her willingness to hold space for abundance. In the days that followed, more gifts arrived. A rosebush from one neighbor, climbing vines from another. The barren soil became a canvas for creation, not through force or struggle, but through Millie's quiet certainty that life would flourish there. Her garden grew as naturally as breath, each plant finding its perfect place. What Millie discovered was not a technique, but a truth. The universe eagerly awaits your permission to deliver what you desire. Belief is not a battle, but a gentle opening, like soil receiving rain. When you trust in the unseen order of things, what you seek begins seeking you. Ancient practice for drawing forth your heart's desire. As the first light touches the horizon, find a quiet place to sit. Speak one heartfelt wish aloud, not as a plea but as a recognition. Say, "I thank you for arriving," rather than, "Please come to me." Let gratitude be your garden, where all things grow in their perfect season. Maintain this practice for 40 days, allowing your appreciation to take root in the fertile soil of possibility. Chapter 2. The Shape of Attention. Your thoughts are magnetic fields drawing forth their likeness from the infinite. Just as a magnet does not strain to attract, your natural state is not one of struggle but of allowing. This wisdom unveils itself through the tale of Harlan, a merchant who filled his days with ceaseless activity, yet found his dreams ever distant. Each morning Harlan would rise before the sun, his mind already racing with worries of falling behind. "I must work harder," he would tell himself, "or success will slip away." Yet the more he pushed, the more exhausted he became, and the further his goals seemed to drift. His very fear of stagnation had become the stone weighing down his steps. In his weariness, Harlan wandered into the town square where an old sculptor worked, his hands moving with unhurried grace across white marble. The sculptor's eyes held a peaceful light that drew Harlan to pause and watch. "Why do you not seem troubled by your task?" Harlan asked, noting how the artist would often step back and simply gaze at the unfinished stone. The sculptor smiled. "I do not see the marble I must remove," he said. "I see only the form waiting to emerge. The statue already exists. I am merely clearing the path for its revelation." These words carry a truth that echoes through all creation. When you fix your attention on what appears to be missing, you strengthen the very absence you wish to overcome. But when you train your vision on the potential that lives within each moment, you become a channel through which it can flow into form. The sculptor's wisdom speaks to the core of manifestation. It is not about forcing what isn't there, but recognizing what already exists in the realm of possibility. Your focus is the chisel that either reveals or conceals the masterpiece of your life. Ancient practice of vision. Alignment. Select one situation that troubles you. On a clean page, write 3 ways this challenge might be serving a higher purpose or containing a hidden gift. Speak these possibilities aloud each morning until you feel a subtle shift in your body, a relaxation that signals your energy has aligned with the wisdom of creation. This practice transforms your relationship with what appears as obstacle into partnership with what seeks to emerge. In the quiet corners of your inner landscape, even a troubling situation carries the shimmer of a deeper intention. When you choose one challenge and place it gently before you, you begin to see it not as an adversary, but as a veiled messenger. By naming 3 possible gifts or higher purposes it may be carrying, you open a subtle doorway, one through which insight can travel from the unseen into the seen. These written possibilities become lanterns that light the darker edges of your experience. Each morning, as you speak these possibilities aloud, your voice becomes a tuning fork. It vibrates through your chest, softening resistance and loosening the knots woven from fear or confusion. With every repetition, the body learns to trust what the mind had once doubted. A small release, a silent exhale, a warmth behind the ribs marks the moment when your inner world begins to shift. This is not force, it is remembrance. And as this shift deepens, the so-called obstacle begins to reveal its true nature. What once felt heavy now feels purposeful. What once blocked you now begins to guide you. In this gentle alchemy, your challenge becomes a partner in your unfolding, a quiet companion shaping you for the very thing your soul has been preparing to receive. Chapter 3. The Frequency of Allowing. In the depths of an ancient village, a tale whispers of a woman named Evelyn who lived in perpetual apology for her desires. Each time abundance knocked at her door, she turned it away, believing herself unworthy of life's gifts. When coins appeared unexpectedly, she gave them away. When opportunities arose, she stepped aside for others. The universe spoke in the language of yes, yet she answered always in the dialect of no. The law of attraction operates with perfect precision, responding not to your words, but to the quiet current of your deepest beliefs. When you resist receiving, you create a magnetic field of lack, for resistance itself becomes your point of attraction. Your guilt about wanting more is merely desire turned against itself. Like a river flowing upstream, exhausting its own power in the struggle. Think of the universe as an infinite ocean of possibility. Your resistance is not protection. It is a dam built of doubt, holding back the very waters meant to nourish your garden. The more you fight against receiving, the stronger this barrier becomes, until the very act of wanting feels like transgression. Yet this wisdom reveals a liberating truth. Control is not power, but the absence of it. True power lies in surrender to the natural flow of abundance. When you release the grip of guilt, you do not become less worthy. You simply allow what has always been yours to find its way home. A wandering musician named Rafi passed through Evelyn's village one autumn evening. As she served him tea, lamenting her blocked desires, he lifted his flute and played a single note. "Listen," he said, letting the sound fade into silence. "Music lives as much in the spaces between notes as in the notes themselves. If I rushed to fill every moment with sound, where would the melody breathe? Where would beauty find room to dance?" The truth rang clear as that solitary note. Evelyn had been trying to force the universe's hand, leaving no space for magic to unfold. Her constant self-judgment was like playing every note at once, creating not music, but noise. Your relationship with abundance is not a battle to be won, but a dance to be enjoyed. The universe does not require your struggle. It awaits your permission to shower you with blessings. Each time you release resistance, you open another channel through which abundance can flow. Before you rest each night, lie quietly in the dark and whisper these words: I allow life to delight me. With every exhale, imagine you are opening an invisible door, making space for quiet blessings to drift in like gentle snowflakes. Let each breath become an invitation to receive. The universe has always been giving. Now at last, you are learning to accept. Practice. Before sleeping, breathe deeply and whisper, I allow life to delight me. Imagine each exhale as an open doorway through which quiet blessings drift. As night gathers around you, let your breath become a slow tide that washes the day from your spirit. When you whisper, I allow life to delight me, you are not merely speaking words, you are granting permission for wonder to return to its rightful place at your bedside. This gentle phrase becomes a soft lantern in the dark, reminding your subconscious that joy is not something to chase, but something that finds you when you soften enough to receive it. With each exhale, allow yourself to imagine invisible doors opening, quiet thresholds through which small, luminous blessings drift toward you. These blessings need no shape or definition. They arrive as a feeling, a subtle glow, a sense of being cared for by the unseen rhythm that guides all things. This simple imagining invites your energy to loosen its grip on fear and reorient toward ease. As your breath settles into a steady rhythm, you enter a space where the universe speaks in whispers rather than thunder. Here, delight becomes a natural companion, capable of slipping into your dreams and weaving itself into the fabric of your tomorrow. In this tender nightly ritual, you create a passage where life can surprise you, uplift you, and remind you that you were always meant to be met with goodness. Chapter 4. The Mirror of Emotion. A merchant's daughter named Clara stood at the edge of the harbor, watching ships sail into dawn. Her heart swayed like the waters below, one moment lifted by visions of the grand future she sensed awaiting her, the next dragged down by waves of doubt. Each dream she nurtured felt simultaneously possible and impossible, as though the universe itself couldn't decide whether to grant or deny her wishes. What you must understand is that emotion serves as your internal compass, forever pointing toward alignment with universal forces. When joy fills your being, you have found harmony with the flow of creation. When anxiety grips your chest, you have drifted from your natural current. These feelings are not random. They are the language through which the universe guides you back to your power. Your emotional state creates a frequency that the universe must match. This is not punishment or reward, but the operation of cosmic law. Like attracts like. A heart constricted by fear attracts experiences that justify that fear. A spirit expanded by joy draws circumstances that mirror that joy. The outer always reflects the inner. This is the sacred science of manifestation. One morning, as Clara walked along the shore wrestling with her uncertainties, she came upon a child building elaborate sand castles near the water's edge. Despite the incoming tide that would soon erase his creations, the boy crafted each tower and wall with complete delight, fully present to the joy of creation itself. When the waves finally came, washing away hours of work, he laughed and began again, finding as much pleasure in the building as in the letting go. This simple scene carries deep wisdom. Attachment to outcomes breeds anxiety, while alignment with joy attracts endless opportunities for more joy. The child's happiness did not depend on his castles lasting forever. It flowed from his harmony with the present moment. His creations vanished, but his creative power remained undiminished. See now how this truth applies to your own journey. When you focus on lack, you align with lack's frequency. When you focus on the joy of becoming, you align with infinite possibility. Your emotions tell you precisely where your focus rests. They are not obstacles to be overcome, but indicators to be heeded. Ancient practice. 3 times each day, morning, noon, and night, pause for 1 minute. Name aloud whatever emotion moves through you in that moment. Do not judge it as good or bad. Do not try to change it. Simply acknowledge its presence with complete honesty. With each recognition, you polish the mirror of your consciousness, allowing your true frequency to shine forth with greater clarity. This practice, passed down through generations of wisdom keepers, restores your natural alignment with the abundance that forever seeks expression through you. Chapter 5. Words as Seeds. In a small village among rolling hills there lived a poet named Frankie who spent his days crafting verses about empty coffers and barren fields. Though his words flowed with artistry, they carried the weight of lack. "If only I had more," he would whisper to the morning air. "When success finally finds me," he would mutter while watching others prosper. His tongue had become skilled at painting pictures of what was missing rather than what was emerging. The universal law speaks clearly on this matter. Your words are not mere sounds dissolving into air. They are living vibrations that ripple through the fabric of creation. Every syllable you utter sends forth an energy that the universe must, by its very nature, echo back to you. You cannot plant seeds of lack while expecting gardens of abundance to bloom. One autumn evening, as Frankie walked through the village square lamenting his fortunes, he encountered an elderly woman tending to an extraordinary garden. What caught his attention wasn't the vibrant flowers or abundant fruit. It was her voice. She spoke to each plant as though it were already in full bloom, even to the smallest seedlings barely breaking through soil. "Watch," she beckoned to Frankie, gesturing toward 2 identical plants. To one, she whispered words of praise and gratitude for 3 days. To the other, she spoke of weakness and doubt. Within a week, the first plant stood tall with new growth, while the second wilted despite receiving the same water and light. "The universe," she explained, "knows no difference between the words you speak to a flower and those you speak about your life. Both are instructions for growth or decay." This truth lies at the heart of creation. Your words are not descriptions of what is, they are blueprints for what will be. When you speak of lack, you are not documenting your reality, you are designing it. When you voice limitation, you are not observing your circumstances, you are orchestrating them. The power to reshape your reality lies in the simple yet profound act of choosing words that align with your desires rather than your fears. Each time you speak, you are either strengthening or weakening the bridge between your present circumstance and your desired reality. Ancient practice. For 1 week, preface every statement of desire with "I am grateful that." Let language bend probability towards serene fulfillment. Notice how this small shift in speech patterns begins to alter not just your thoughts, but the very fabric of your experience. Your words are seeds. Plant them with intention and watch as the universe transforms them into the garden of your choosing. Chapter 6. The Horizon Within. Long ago, a young woman named Beatrice dwelled in a modest village at the foot of ancient mountains. Each dawn she would gaze at distant peaks, her heart aching with dreams of faraway lands. "When I leave this place," she would tell the morning sun, "my real life will begin." Yet the universe whispers a deeper truth. The seeds of transformation lie not in distance traveled, but in the soil of perception. You see, every location holds infinite possibility within its bounds. The law of attraction responds not to physical movement, but to the expansion of consciousness. When you stand rooted in appreciation of where you are, the entire cosmos opens before you. Beatrice's awakening began on what seemed an ordinary morning. As she walked the familiar path to the village well, something shifted in her vision. The same stones she had passed 1,000 times suddenly revealed intricate patterns. The air itself seemed charged with meaning. In that moment, she glimpsed what the masters have always known, that sacred ground is not found, but recognized. The universe orchestrates such revelations with perfect timing. That very afternoon, Beatrice encountered an elderly painter setting up his easel in the village square. His canvas captured not just the buildings and streets, but something more, a luminous quality that made the familiar scene pulse with mystery. "How do you make our simple village look so vast?" Beatrice asked. The painter smiled, his brush moving in steady strokes. "I paint not what my eyes first see, but what reveals itself when I look long enough. The horizon moves not because we journey toward it, but because our sight expands to embrace it. This truth rings through the ages. What you seek abroad already dwells within. The law of attraction responds not to physical distance, but to the vastness of your inner landscape. When you truly see the ground beneath your feet as sacred, every step becomes a pilgrimage. A simple practice for expanding perception. Each morning, stand before your reflection and speak these words with gentle authority. "I am standing on sacred ground." Let this declaration sink into your cells. Watch as familiar surroundings begin to shimmer with wider promise. The universe delights in showing you new dimensions of what you thought you knew. Each dawn, when you meet your own reflection, you step into a threshold where the ordinary learns to reveal its holiness. Speaking the words, "I am standing on sacred ground," is not about the floor beneath your feet. It is about awakening the truth beneath your awareness. This gentle authority signals to your inner world that life is no longer accidental, no longer random, no longer mundane. It reminds you that every step you take carries the echo of a deeper purpose. As the declaration settles into your cells, something subtle begins to rearrange itself within you. The familiar softens. The unnoticed stirs. Your body responds as if remembering an ancient agreement, that you are not wandering through a world separate from meaning, but moving through a living tapestry that responds to your presence. Even the simplest objects, the mirror, the morning light, the quiet air, start to hum with a quiet significance, as though they have been waiting for you to see them differently. With time, This daily vow opens a doorway in perception. The universe, ever eager to collaborate with an awakened observer, begins revealing layers of possibility hidden beneath your routines. A room becomes a sanctuary. A day becomes a revelation. What once felt small now glows with unspoken promise. And in this expanded seeing you realize the truth. Sacred ground was never a place. It was always the way you chose to stand. Chapter 7. The Rhythm of Receiving. In a seaside village, Roscoe spent his days mending nets for local fishermen. From dawn until dusk, he labored without rest, taking pride in giving everything while accepting little in return. Though respected for his selfless nature, a quiet exhaustion had settled into his bones. The universal law speaks of a sacred balance, an eternal dance of giving and receiving that maintains the harmony of existence. You cannot breathe out forever. Each exhale must be met with an inhale. This wisdom lies at the heart of abundance. One morning, as Roscoe sat repairing nets by the shore, he observed the ocean's endless rhythm. Wave after wave approached the sand, giving its energy freely, yet just as naturally, the water drew back to sea, receiving renewed strength for its next advance. The tide neither pushed nor grasped, but flowed in perfect trust. Through this observation, a great truth unveiled itself. The universe operates through circulation, not sacrifice. When you resist receiving, you interrupt the flow that sustains all life. Your capacity to accept with grace directly influences your ability to give with joy. I give to be worthy, Roscoe had always thought. But the ocean whispered a different truth. You are worthy of receiving because you exist. This revelation transformed his understanding. True generosity springs not from depletion, but from wholeness. Later that day, Roscoe encountered an old sailor who shared tea with him. When Roscoe tried to decline this simple offering, the sailor smiled knowingly and said, "The cup that refuses to be filled has nothing to pour." In that moment, Roscoe understood that his reluctance to receive had been blocking life's natural abundance. This teaching speaks to you now. The universe seeks equilibrium in all things. When you allow yourself to receive with gratitude, you become a clearer channel for giving. It is not noble to empty yourself. It is wise to maintain your vessel full and flowing. Sacred practice. Find a quiet space where you can breathe deeply. With each exhale, speak these words with gentle authority. It is safe to receive. As you inhale, visualize your breath as a golden tide entering your heart. Let gratitude fill your being, knowing that each moment of acceptance magnetizes fresh waves of replenishment. In the hush of solitude, when the world finally loosens its grip, your breath becomes a bridge between what you desire and what you allow. Whispering it is safe to receive on each exhale is an invocation, a gentle reordering of your inner landscape. These words soften the defenses built over years of striving, reminding the deeper self that openness is not vulnerability, but alignment. In this stillness, you begin to sense how safety blooms from within rather than from circumstance. As the inhale arrives like a golden tide, imagine it flowing into the chambers of your heart, washing through forgotten corners, illuminating the places that once braced against disappointment. This luminous breath carries the quiet assurance that you are worthy of the very goodness you seek. It fills you with a warmth that seems to whisper back, "You were meant for this ease." In that moment, receiving shifts from effort to a natural state of being, as instinctive as the rise and fall of your chest. and as gratitude begins to ripple through your whole being, it creates a resonance that draws replenishment toward you. You become a magnet for gentle abundance, for unexpected kindness, for the subtle blessings that often slip past those who are still holding themselves shut. In this golden exchange, your openness meeting the universe's generosity, a cycle is born. Each breath affirms your readiness, and each moment responds with something new to receive. Chapter 8. The Compass of Curiosity. A merchant carrying questions in his sack travels from village to village, trading not in goods, but in curiosities. Those who offer him shelter notice that their homes feel lighter after his departure, as though his inquiries have opened windows in their minds that had long been sealed. When you approach life with genuine wonder, you activate an ancient mechanism within the universe, one that responds not to demands, but to the gentle pull of an open heart. Your questions become keys unlocking doors you never knew existed. In the market square, young Addie watches merchants haggle over prices, each convinced of their position. Yet she sees beyond their certainty, wondering about the stories behind each item, the hands that crafted them, the journeys that brought them here. Her questions transform the mundane exchange of coins into a tapestry of possibility. The universe delights in such wondering. Each genuine question sends ripples through the field of all potential, stirring what was dormant into motion. When you release the grip of needing to know, solutions arise with unexpected grace. Later, Addie encounters an elderly librarian arranging books in curious patterns. "Notice," the woman whispers, "how each book finds its reader precisely when the right question blooms in their heart." She explains that the library itself is alive with the energy of inquiry, each shelf a constellation of answers awaiting their perfect question. "The universe," the librarian continues, "maintains a vast catalog of all possibilities. Your questions are like hands reaching into this infinite archive, drawing forth exactly what you need to know. But only wonder-filled questions unlock its deepest treasures. Demanding questions receive shallow answers, while curious ones summon wisdom. Through Addie's experience, you glimpse an essential truth. Questions asked from wonder, rather than worry, carry a different vibration. They don't grasp or strain. They invite and allow. This is the secret of those who seem blessed by synchronicity. They've learned to question with delight, rather than doubt. The power of wonder-filled questioning lies not in forcing answers, but in creating space for revelation. Each question mark you place upon the universe becomes a hook upon which wisdom can hang its coat. Ancient practice. Each morning, find a quiet moment and write one question beginning with, "How would it feel if?" Let your imagination float freely with the question, neither seeking nor straining for answers. Before sleep, revisit your question, allowing your dreams to weave possible responses through the tapestry of your unconscious mind. Trust that the universe's vast library is already selecting the perfect volumes for your perusal. Chapter 9. Faith Beyond Sight. In a small mountain village lived a woman named Nora who had never seen with her eyes, yet perceived the world with remarkable clarity. Each morning she would walk through the marketplace, navigating the bustling crowds with graceful certainty. Those who watched her move through space often forgot she couldn't see, for her steps carried the confidence of one who knew exactly where she was going. The universe speaks in many languages, some heard, some felt, some known without explanation. Through Nora's experience, we glimpse a profound truth. Sight is but one way of perceiving the abundant gifts that surround us. When you release your attachment to how blessings must appear, you open yourself to receiving them in unexpected forms. Nora's alignment with universal forces came not from visual confirmation, but from absolute trust. She understood that creation responds not to what we see with our eyes, but to what we know in our hearts. This knowing, this unwavering certainty, sends ripples through the field of infinite possibility, drawing to us that which we have already accepted as truth. One stormy evening, a merchant named Thomas lost his way in the village. Despite having 2 good eyes, he found himself completely disoriented in the darkness. It was Nora who found him, and without hesitation offered to guide him to safety. As they walked together, Thomas marveled at how someone who couldn't see could navigate so confidently through the rain-soaked streets. "I don't need to see the path," Nora explained. "I know it's there." Her words carried ancient wisdom. That manifestation flows not from external proof, but from internal conviction. This truth echoes through the ages when you declare with certainty that what you seek already exists. The universe conspires to make it visible. Your unwavering faith becomes the light by which all things are revealed. Within you lies a power greater than physical sight, the ability to perceive through knowing. This is not blind faith, but rather sight so pure it transcends the need for visual confirmation. Just as Nora guided Thomas through darkness, your inner knowing can illuminate paths that eyes alone cannot discern. Ancient practice. Find a quiet space and sit comfortably. Close your eyes or dim the lights around you. Take 3 deep breaths to center yourself. Now softly whisper the words, "I see through knowing." Allow your mind to settle into this truth. Without straining, let images of certainty arise naturally within your consciousness. Remain in this space of knowing for several minutes, allowing your inner vision to strengthen and clarify. This practice awakens the eye of spirit, which sees not through light, but through truth. Chapter 10. The Pulse of Joy. Along a quiet street where engines whispered their troubles, worked a mechanic named Louis. His humble workshop bore no fancy signs, yet customers found their way there, drawn by an invisible force they couldn't quite name. As his hands moved through the intricate dance of repair, Louis hummed, sometimes ancient melodies, sometimes tunes of his own making. With each note, the metal beneath his fingers seemed to soften, problems revealed themselves more readily, and solutions flowed like water. Your vibration is your first tool in any endeavor. Before a word is spoken or an action taken, your energy announces your arrival to the universe. When you approach life with joy, you enter into harmony with the creative force that sustains all things. This alignment allows solutions to find you rather than you struggling to find them. The universe responds not to your circumstances, but to your song. Wealth is not measured in coins, but in the frequency of your spirit. Louis understood this truth not through study, but through living it. Each morning, his humming transformed his modest workshop into a magnetic field of possibility. Broken machines didn't just get fixed, they seemed to heal themselves under his melodious attention. Customers arrived precisely when he needed them, bearing exactly the challenges his skills had evolved to solve. One gray afternoon, a woman trudged into his shop. her face heavy with worry about her stalled car. She had visited 3 other mechanics, each adding to her burden of concern. As she spoke of her troubles, the very air around her seemed to thicken with doubt. Her train of thought, like her vehicle, moved sluggishly through layers of resistance. Louis's response was not immediate diagnosis, but a soft, steady tune. As he worked, his humming filled the space between words, and gradually the woman's frown began to lift. The solution, when it came, was remarkably simple, as most answers are when approached through joy rather than fear. This is the hidden wisdom. Your emotional frequency is the bridge between where you stand and where you wish to be. Every transformation begins with a shift in vibration. Joy is not the result of success. It is the catalyst that brings it forth. Sacred practice. Sing a song under your breath before tackling any decision. Vibration before action opens the chosen path. Part 2. The Alchemy of Belief. Chapter 11. The Art of Letting Go. In the heart of autumn, where leaves painted the sky with their surrender, lived a woman named Mabel who held on to love long after its season had passed. Each morning she would trace the outline of old photographs, willing the images to breathe life back into what was already gone. Her grip on yesterday grew tighter as the spaces between her and her departing beloved grew wider. The universe speaks in cycles, not in straight lines. What appears as an ending is merely energy seeking its next expression. When you clutch at what wishes to transform, you create resistance in the natural flow of life's renewal. Every release makes space for fresh currents of grace to enter. As Mabel walked through the park one wind-swept afternoon, she noticed an elderly man flying a kite with remarkable skill. The crimson diamond danced in spirals against the clouds, moving with an elegance that seemed almost impossible. Drawn to its hypnotic motion, she paused to watch. "The secret," the man said, noting her presence, "isn't in holding tight. It's in knowing when to give more line." His weathered hands demonstrated the gentle play between tension and release. Too much control, and it falls. Too little, and it drifts away. But find that sweet spot of trust. The kite suddenly soared higher, cutting through the air like a bird discovering its wings. In that moment, Mabel understood. Her attachment wasn't preserving love. It was preventing its evolution. Just as the kite found freedom in the balance between holding on and letting go, her heart could only soar again when she honored both the connection that was and the space for what could be. When you release with grace, you don't lose what was precious. You honor its completion. Every ending carries within it the seeds of beginning. The universe never empties a space without preparing to fill it anew with something aligned with your highest good. The ancient practice of sacred release. Find a quiet moment as twilight approaches. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. Imagine each attachment that no longer serves your growth as a leaf, complete in its beauty, yet ready to return to the earth. Watch as these leaves detach one by one, floating down to rich, glowing soil. Feel how each release lightens your spirit, knowing that every leaf that falls becomes nourishment for your next season of becoming. Let nature's wisdom teach you that nothing truly ends. It simply changes form in the eternal dance of renewal. Chapter 12. The Silent Architect. High in the mountains where stone meets sky, there dwelt a young man named Benny. Each morning, he would gaze at distant peaks, yearning to build a life as magnificent as their soaring heights. Yet beneath his aspirations lurked a shadow, an unseen architect drawing plans of limitation rather than possibility. You must understand that thoughts are not mere whispers in the mind. They are the invisible sketches from which your reality takes form. Just as no building rises without its blueprint, no life unfolds without the template of belief. Your doubts and convictions alike trace the foundation upon which tomorrow builds itself. As Benny wandered through the village marketplace one morning, his eyes fell upon an old mason carefully arranging stones. The craftsman's weathered hands moved with quiet certainty, each placement precise and purposeful. Watching him work, Benny voiced his inner struggle. How do you know the stones will hold? The mason paused, his eyes bright with ancient knowing. Before I lay a single stone, he said, I see the wall complete in my mind. The physical work merely follows what belief has already built. He gestured to his heart. The true foundation begins here. In that moment, the universe revealed its timeless truth, that self-worth is not earned through outer achievement, but rather achievement flows naturally from inner certainty. Just as a master mason trusts each stone before it's placed, you must trust yourself before your dreams can manifest in form. Your thoughts are not passive observers of life. They are active creators, sending ripples through the field of infinite possibility. When you doubt your worth, you instruct the universe to mirror that doubt back to you. But when you stand firmly in your value, reality reshapes itself to match your conviction. Before closing your eyes each night, stand tall and declare with quiet authority, My thoughts design my world, and I design beauty. Let these words sink deep into your being, knowing they are already at work, transforming the invisible blueprint of your tomorrow. In this sacred practice, you align yourself with the creative force that shapes worlds. Remember, just as the mason's wall begins in thought, your destiny takes shape first in the quiet chambers of belief. Chapter 13. Energy Never Lies. In a bustling cafe at the edge of town, a woman named Sadie served coffee with a presence that spoke before her words. Some mornings, customers would shift in their seats before she approached, sensing the warmth or weight she carried. On days when joy lifted her spirit, patrons would smile as she neared, though they hadn't yet seen her face. Your energy precedes you like dawn before daylight. It whispers your truth to the world, creating ripples in the field of life that touch others long before your physical presence arrives. This silent language speaks with an honesty that words cannot disguise. The universe responds not to what you say, but to the frequency you embody. When your inner state aligns with truth, reality bends naturally toward your authentic vibration. Like a tuning fork that causes nearby strings to resonate, your energy influences everything it touches. At the cafe, Sadie befriended a woman named Maya who tended a small indoor garden near the window. Maya's plants flourished under her care, their leaves reaching toward her when she approached with peaceful thoughts. Yet on days when frustration clouded her mind, the same plants would curl inward, their vitality dimming in response to her discord. The plants remember, Maya explained one morning, touching a drooping leaf. They feel yesterday's anger in today's water. Her observation revealed a truth often forgotten, that energy carries memory, leaving impressions in the subtle fabric of existence. This principle extends beyond plants to every interaction in your life. Each encounter is shaped by the invisible currents you carry. When you enter a room clouded with worry, that frequency ripples outward, touching everyone present. But when you arrive carrying peace, that same space transforms into a sanctuary of possibility. The power to shape these encounters lies not in forced pleasantries or rehearsed words, but in the authentic vibration you choose to cultivate. Your energy field is always broadcasting, always creating, always influencing the matrix of life around you. Before entering any room, pause, breathe, and radiate a silent smile. Watch how interaction softens and synchronizes. This simple practice aligns your frequency with the highest potential of each moment, allowing life to flow with natural grace and harmony. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. The Blessing of Contrast. In the heart of an ancient marketplace, a merchant named Virgil sat among his unsold wares, his spirit heavy with disappointment. Each passing day brought fewer customers, and his dreams of prosperity seemed to mock him from behind dusty shelves. As shadows lengthened across his empty shop, bitterness crept into his thoughts like evening fog. You see, the universe speaks through contrast. When circumstances fall short of your desires, that gap becomes sacred ground where new dreams take root. Each no you encounter carries within it the seed of a more precise yes. Virgil's mounting frustration led him to wander the narrow streets one evening, where fate guided his steps to an artist's studio. Through the window, he observed an old painter working in the fading light. The artist, Alessandro, invited him in with a knowing smile. "These shadows trouble you," Alessandro said, gesturing to Virgil's furrowed brow, "just as the shadows in my paintings once troubled me, until I understood their purpose." The painter led Virgil to a canvas where light and dark danced together. "Without deep shadow," he explained, "the light has no story to tell. Each dark stroke makes the bright ones sing. This is the sacred marriage of contrast. The universe never sends you darkness to punish. Each challenge arrives as an instructor, teaching you to name your desires with greater precision. When life presents what you do not want, it simultaneously reveals what you do want with crystal clarity. The wisdom of contrast operates as a divine compass. Each experience that falls short of your hope serves as an arrow, pointing toward deeper understanding of your true desires. These moments of misalignment are not failures. They are the universe's way of helping you fine-tune your frequency. As Virgil studied the painting, understanding dawned in his heart. His empty shop wasn't a sign of defeat. It was showing him exactly what kind of abundance he wished to create. Each quiet day had been silently shaping his vision, carving it with greater detail and passion. The practice. As sunlight fades, find a quiet moment with pen and paper. Choose one challenge you face today and write, "I thank this experience for teaching me." Let gratitude transform the friction of unwanted circumstances into fuel for clearer creation. Your acknowledgement converts contrast into pure creative power. Chapter 15. The Law of Correspondence. In a quiet valley beneath ancient mountains, where morning mists wove silver threads through awakening trees, there lived a woman named Elsie. Each dawn, she would gaze out her window and marvel at how life seemed to mirror itself in endless reflections. You stand now at the threshold of understanding one of the universe's most subtle languages, the poetry of patterns. Like Elsie, you may have noticed how certain situations appear again and again, as if life itself were trying to teach through gentle repetition. When you observe closely, you'll find that each relationship, each job, each challenge carries echoes of those that came before. These are not coincidences, but cosmic curriculum. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, presents the same lesson in different forms until understanding dawns in the depths of your being. As Elsie moved through her days, she began to notice how each new workplace brought familiar dynamics, the same conflicts dressed in different faces. Her relationships, too, seemed to follow a dance she knew by heart, though the partners changed. The universe was not punishing her. It was patiently waiting for her to recognize the message hidden within the pattern. One morning, as sunlight streamed through her window, a mirror fell from her wall, shattering into countless pieces across her floor. As she knelt to clean up the fragments, something extraordinary caught her attention. Each shard, no matter its size or shape, perfectly reflected the same sun. In that moment, wisdom bloomed in her heart. Even in life's apparent fragments, wholeness remains. This truth extends to you as well. The patterns you experience are not random occurrences, but crystalline fragments reflecting the same light of awareness. Each repetition carries the same essential message, waiting for your recognition. Just as a parent might repeat an important lesson until their child understands, the universe continues its patient instruction through the poetry of patterns. When you finally perceive the message hidden within repetition, the pattern dissolves, having served its purpose. Sacred practice. Whenever you notice a familiar pattern emerging in your life, be it in relationships, work, or daily circumstances, pause. Take a deep breath and whisper, "I hear you." This simple acknowledgement signals to the universe that you're ready to receive the wisdom within the repetition. Feel how this gentle awareness begins to dissolve the pattern's need to persist. Chapter 16. The Sacred Pause. In a bustling marketplace where merchants called their wares and wheels clattered on cobblestones, Gus darted between stalls with feverish energy. His thoughts raced ahead of his feet, always reaching for the next moment, the next opportunity, the next manifestation. The universe watched his haste with patient understanding, knowing that sometimes the fastest path curves through stillness. The magnetic field of creation responds not to speed, but to clarity. When you rush toward your desires, you create turbulence in the very forces meant to assist you. Like water stirred too vigorously, your energy becomes clouded, making it difficult for the universe to reflect your true intentions. Gus learned this truth one evening when, exhausted from his endless pursuit, he stumbled upon a drummer sitting quietly in the town square. The man sat with his instrument untouched, eyes closed in peaceful contemplation. Confused, Gus asked why he wasn't playing. "The music lives in the spaces between," the drummer explained, opening his eyes slowly. "Without silence, there is no song." He then demonstrated, playing a simple rhythm where each beat gained its power from the pause that preceded it. "In these empty moments," he continued, "the next note gathers its strength." This wisdom reveals a fundamental truth about manifestation. Action born from stillness carries greater power than movement born from restlessness. When you pause to align with the universe's rhythm, your efforts naturally synchronize with creation's flow. Each deliberate silence becomes a moment of gathering power, like a wave drawing back before it crests. Just as the drummer showed Gus, your manifestations gain momentum not from constant motion, but from the quality of your stillness. In these quiet spaces, the universe rearranges itself around your intentions, preparing the perfect timing for your next move. Ancient practice of sacred stillness. Set a timer thrice daily for 1 minute of absolute quiet. As you enter this practice, know that in that minute, the universe reorganizes your momentum. Let each second of silence become a seed of aligned action. Your stillness creates space for divine timing to emerge. Chapter 17. The Golden Thread of Synchronicity. Pearl stood at her window each morning, watching dawn paint the sky. On this particular morning, she whispered to herself, "I long to teach children about the stars." The words had barely left her lips when a newspaper, caught by the wind, wrapped itself around her ankles. There, circled in red, was an advertisement for an astronomy instructor at the local children's museum. Such moments of perfect timing exist beyond the realm of chance. The universe speaks not in shouts, but in subtle arrangements, each one a note in the symphony of creation. These alignments appear random only to those who haven't yet recognized the intimate dance between thought and manifestation. As Pearl moved through her days, she began noticing these whispered responses everywhere. A conversation overheard in a cafe mirrored her inner dialogue. The numbers on a passing bus matched the sequence she'd been dreaming about. Each instance felt like a gentle nod from the infinite, acknowledging her awakening awareness. One rainy afternoon, Pearl discovered a rain-soaked envelope on her doorstep. The letter inside, dated 3 years prior, had somehow found its way to her now, precisely when its message about trusting divine timing could serve her most. The universe had held this message in its keeping until Pearl's consciousness was ready to receive it. These synchronicities are not coincidences, but conversations. They are the way the field of infinite possibility communicates with those who have learned to listen. When you align with your deepest truth, reality itself begins to echo your inner knowing. Each synchronicity serves as confirmation that you are in dialogue with the universe. Like Pearl, you may notice these patterns intensifying as your awareness expands. A thought in the morning becomes a sign by afternoon. A question in your heart manifests as an answer in the external world. These moments are not random. They are the natural result of your energy aligning with universal flow. The ancient practice. Find a blank journal and title it Your Wonder Journal. Each evening, record 3 moments of meaningful coincidence from your day. Note not just what happened, but how it felt in your body when you recognized the alignment. This practice of conscious attention strengthens your receptivity to universal guidance. As you document these sacred echoes, watch how they multiply, creating an ever clearer channel between your desires and their fulfillment. Chapter 18. The Alchemy of Forgiveness. In a small coastal village, Dottie tended her shop of herbal remedies, her heart as bitter as the strongest medicines she prepared. For years she carried the weight of betrayal like stones in her pockets, remembering how her business partner had stolen her original formulas and opened a competing store across town. Her anger had become a familiar companion, yet her own prosperity remained stagnant despite her expertise. One morning, while gathering herbs, she encountered an elderly gardener named Chen, working in what appeared to be a wasteland of weeds and withered plants. She watched as he carefully collected the dying vegetation, placing it into rich, dark compost heaps. "Why waste time with dead things?" Dottie asked. Chen smiled, gently turning the soil. "Death feeds life, if we allow it. These weeds you see as worthless become the foundation of next season's abundance." He led her to a vibrant section of his garden where flowers bloomed in impossible colors. This beauty grows from what was once bitter and unwanted. The secret lies not in fighting decay, but in transforming it. As days passed, Dottie began to understand that her resentment acted like a dam, blocking the natural flow of abundance in her life. Each bitter thought was energy diverted from growth, each moment of anger a seed planted in barren soil. The universe operates through cycles of transformation. Just as Chen's garden transformed decay into vitality, your pain holds the potential to become wisdom. Forgiveness is not about forgetting or condoning. It is about freeing yourself from the burden of carrying someone else's actions. When you release others from your judgment, you release yourself from the weight of bitterness. In forgiving, you don't lose power. You reclaim it. The energy once spent maintaining old hurts becomes available for creating anew. Like the compost in Chen's garden, even the darkest experiences can nurture future growth when transformed through the alchemy of forgiveness. The ancient practice. Each night, as the stars emerge, find a quiet moment. Light a candle and speak these words with peaceful intent. I release you to your path as I walk mine joyfully. Let the person's image fade naturally from your mind, knowing that in releasing them, you free yourself to flourish. Chapter 19. The Language of Symbols. In a moonlit valley between ancient mountains, a young scribe named Otis found himself plagued by recurring visions. Night after night he dreamed of ornate doors, some wooden with intricate carvings, others metallic with mysterious symbols. Keys of various shapes and sizes would appear, floating just beyond his reach. Though he recorded these dreams faithfully in his journal, their meaning eluded him. The universe speaks not in plain words, but in the subtle poetry of symbols and signs. What appears as repetition is often invitation, a gentle nudging from the infinite toward deeper understanding. Your dreams, like Otis's, are not random projections, but messages encoded in the language of your soul. One day, while transcribing ancient texts in the village library, Otis encountered Maya, an interpreter of sacred symbols. "These doors you see," she said, examining his dream journal, "they are not barriers but thresholds. Each key represents not what is denied, but what awaits your recognition. The wisdom lies not in forcing meaning, but in allowing understanding to unfold. Just as a flower cannot be pulled open but must bloom in its own time, the symbolism in your life reveals itself through patient observation. Your recurring images are breadcrumbs leading to transformation." Through his conversations with Maya, Otis learned that literal thinking creates spiritual deafness. When he stopped trying to crack the code of his dreams and instead sat with their mystery, the messages began to whisper clearly. The doors weren't about physical passages, but about transitions in consciousness. The keys weren't tools of access, but symbols of readiness. In the marketplace one afternoon, Otis met a blind merchant who shared, "I may not see with my eyes, but I read the world through its patterns." Every repeated experience is the universe tapping on your shoulder, asking for your attention. This truth echoes across ages. The language of spirit speaks through metaphor, because some wisdom can only be felt, not explained. Your intuition understands this dialect perfectly, even when your mind stumbles over translation. Sacred practice. Throughout the coming week, maintain awareness of any image, symbol, or scenario that appears repeatedly in your experience. When you notice a pattern, find a quiet moment in meditation. Ask with genuine curiosity, what wisdom are you offering? Allow your imagination to receive the answer, trusting that understanding comes through the heart's knowing rather than mental analysis. The universe's symbols are always personal, their meaning unique to your journey. Chapter 20. The Magnetism of Compassion. In a small village where shadows of solitude lingered long, there lived a woman named Birdie who spent her days watching others from behind lace curtains. Her heart yearned for connection, yet fear kept her doors firmly closed. Until one morning, when she noticed her elderly neighbor struggling with heavy groceries. Without thinking, Birdie rushed outside and offered help. That simple act shifted something in the universal field. When you extend yourself beyond the boundaries of your own needs, you activate an ancient law of energy exchange. Every gesture of genuine care sends ripples through the fabric of existence, creating pathways for love's return. This is not mere poetry. It is the mathematics of spiritual physics. The universe maintains perfect accounts of every heartbeat shared in service. Your loneliness is not a prison, but a launching pad for connection. Just as Birdie discovered, the walls that seem to separate you from others are actually bridges waiting to be crossed. Each time you reach beyond yourself, you weave another thread into the tapestry of community that surrounds you, seen and unseen. One autumn evening, Birdie found an injured sparrow in her garden. Though she had never cared for a wounded creature before, she created a soft nest and tenderly nursed it back to health. As she focused on the bird's healing, something remarkable occurred. Neighbors began appearing at her door, bringing soup when she caught a cold, offering books when they learned she loved to read. Without seeking it directly, Birdie had activated the law of magnetic return. This represents the purest form of vibrational alignment. When you act from genuine compassion without attachment to outcome, you create a vacuum that the universe rushes to fill. Your care for the sparrow was a pure note struck against the cosmic bell, and its resonance drew back matching frequencies of nurture and support. Your task is elegantly simple, yet profound in its impact. Each day, perform one act of kindness that no one can trace back to you. Leave an anonymous gift. Secretly tend a neglected garden. Quietly pay for a stranger's meal. The very absence of recognition amplifies the spiritual power of the gesture. When ego steps aside, love flows unobstructed, and the universe responds with multiplicative force. The practice. Find one opportunity each day to extend kindness without leaving your signature. Let the action itself be your only reward. As you maintain this practice, notice how unexpected blessings begin appearing in your life, not as direct exchanges, but as evidence that you have activated the law of circulation. The universe reads anonymity as purity and expands it effortlessly. Part 3. The Expansion of Knowing. Chapter 21. The Spiral Path of Growth. On a quiet morning beneath ancient olive trees, Dewey sat counting his troubles like familiar beads on a string. Here again, he sighed, gazing at another rejection letter, the 7th this season. The same pattern seemed to dance before him, mocking his efforts to advance. In those moments of perceived stagnation lies a sacred truth. What appears as repetition often masks subtle elevation. Like a mountain path that circles yet rises, each encounter with a familiar challenge brings you to a higher vantage point of understanding. A wandering merchant named Hassan crossed Dewey's path, spreading his wares beneath the olive grove. Among his collection lay a bronze spiral, catching sunlight in its curves. "Notice," Hassan spoke softly, "how each turn seems to pass the same point, yet always moves upward. The universe speaks in spirals, not circles." This wisdom illuminates a fundamental principle of manifestation. There are no true repetitions in the cosmic dance, only opportunities for deeper integration. Each time you face a familiar pattern, you stand at a more elevated position than before, equipped with expanded awareness and refined understanding. When Dewey examined his string of rejection letters more closely, he discovered subtle differences in each response. The latest ones contained encouraging notes, suggestions, even invitations to submit again. What he had labeled as stubborn repetition was actually a graduated ascension toward his goal. Later that season, while helping a young artist arrange her pottery, Dewey noticed how each coil she added seemed to trace the same circular path, yet slowly built upward into a vessel of beauty. "The clay remembers each turn," she shared, building upon what came before. In that moment, Dewey understood. What feels like going in circles is often Spirit's way of building something greater. This truth extends beyond individual experience into the very fabric of creation. Every spring appears the same, yet each brings new blossoms. Every wave seems identical, yet each shapes the shore uniquely. Every breath follows the same rhythm, yet each carries fresh life. Sacred practice. When familiar challenges resurface in your path, pause and whisper with quiet knowing, "I meet this higher." Feel how this simple declaration shifts your energy from frustration to recognition of growth. Through this conscious repositioning, what once appeared as repetition reveals itself as spiral ascension. Chapter 22. The Infinite Present. A merchant traveled far across desert sands, carrying precious jewels in his satchel. Each night he slept fitfully, imagining tomorrow's dangers. Though his caravan moved steadily forward, his mind raced endlessly ahead, leaving him exhausted in a future that hadn't yet arrived. His name was Rashid, and his story mirrors the eternal dance between presence and possibility. The universe speaks an exquisite truth. Manifestation flows solely through the gateway of now. When you project yourself into imagined tomorrows, you splinter your creative force. Your power to shape reality exists only in this breath, this heartbeat, this sacred instant of being. Time, in its deepest mystery, is not a line stretching endlessly forward, but a series of complete moments, each holding the fullness of creation. When you truly understand this principle, anxiety about the future dissolves into the power of present alignment. The universe responds not to what you plan to feel tomorrow, but to the vibration you embody now. A simple truth emerges through observation. Worry about tomorrow creates resistance in the now, blocking the very flow you seek to ensure. Each moment you spend rehearsing future scenarios draws energy away from the point of power. This eternal, pregnant now. Consider the weaver who meets an old sage near a mountain stream. The sage asks, "Why do your hands shake as you work?" The weaver replies, "I fear I won't finish my tapestry in time for the festival." The sage points to the water flowing over smooth stones and says, "The stream doesn't worry about reaching the sea. It simply flows fully in each moment, and in doing so, arrives precisely when it should." This teaching reveals the paradox at the heart of manifestation. The more fully you inhabit the present moment, the more naturally your desired future unfolds. Your task is not to reach into tomorrow, but to align so completely with now that tomorrow cannot help but reflect your present harmony. Sit quietly and place your hand upon your heart. Feel its steady rhythm, each beat complete, perfect, requiring nothing more. Speak these words with gentle authority. This moment is complete. Let tomorrow arise without pressure, knowing that all power lives here, in this sacred instant of now. Chapter 23. The Voice of Intention. In a bustling marketplace, a merchant named Arlo stood daily beneath colorful awnings, reciting affirmations of prosperity. His words were perfect, crafted from the finest teachings, yet his stall remained quiet while others flourished. Though his lips shaped abundance, his shoulders carried tension, and his eyes held worry. One morning, a wise woman paused at his stall. Without purchasing, she simply observed as he whispered his daily affirmations. "Your mouth speaks of riches," she said softly, "but your body tells of lack. When word and feeling dance as one, the universe cannot help but respond." The universe's intelligence flows through feeling first, then form. Your words are seeds, but emotion is the soil in which they grow. When you speak of abundance while clutching scarcity, you send mixed signals into the field of creation. The universe, in its perfect reflection, mirrors back this confusion rather than your intended desire. True manifestation arises when inner knowing aligns with outer declaration. It is not enough to speak the words. You must become them. Each affirmation must resonate in your bones, echo in your blood, and pulse with your breath. This is the alchemy of congruence, where thought and feeling merge into creative power. Later that season, Arlo encountered a master musician tuning an ancient instrument. "Notice," the musician explained, "how I adjust each string not by sight, but by feeling its vibration. When the note rings true, my whole being knows it." Through this simple demonstration, Arlo understood that manifestation requires the same delicate attunement, a harmony between declaration and deep knowing. This wisdom reveals itself in all of creation. Observe how a flower doesn't strain to bloom. Its opening is a natural expression of its inner nature. Your words of power must flow with similar organic truth, rising from authentic alignment rather than forced repetition. The sacred practice. Find a quiet space and speak your heart's desire, but do not rush. Let each word roll gently off your tongue. Pay attention to your body's response. Any tension signals misalignment. Continue speaking softly until your shoulders drop, your breath deepens, and your entire being resonates with peaceful certainty. This is the moment when your declaration becomes truth, and the universe moves to match your vibration. Chapter 24. The Unity of All Paths. A merchant's daughter named Clementine journeyed through distant lands, seeking the one true path to divine connection. In each village and city, she collected sacred texts and studied with masters, hoping to find the singular key to universal law. Yet the more she learned, the more confused she became. Some taught manifestation through stillness, others through action. Some spoke of surrender, others of will. Some praised solitude, others community. Each claimed theirs was the authentic way. The universe speaks in countless tongues, yet its message remains unchanged. Just as light fragments through a crystal into many colors while remaining pure light, the eternal truth reflects through varied teachings. Your seeking has led you to this understanding. There is no right path, only the path that resonates with your spirit's frequency. When Clementine rested at an ancient crossroads, she met an old woman tending a garden filled with different flowers. "Why not plant only roses?" Clementine asked. "They are the most beautiful." The woman smiled, continuing to water both orchids and daisies with equal care. "Each flower praises the sun in its own way. Would you silence any voice that sings of love?" In that moment, Clementine understood. The law of attraction flows through all sincere seeking. Whether through meditation or movement, silence or sound, solitude or service, all paths lead to the same infinite source. The universe delights in diversity precisely because it proves the unity underlying all things. Look upon the varied ways humans reach for truth. Some pray in temples, others dance in forests. Some chant ancient words, others sit in silence. Some find divinity in service, others in solitude. Each is a note in the universal symphony, each a color in the eternal light. Your path will be uniquely yours, yet it connects to all paths. When you honor the many ways wisdom appears, you align with the vast creative force that expresses through infinite forms. Truth is not a single flower, but a garden of endless variety. Practice. When encountering difference, silently bless it as another language of love. Diversity affirms oneness. Chapter 25. The Heart as Compass. In a bustling marketplace in a distant time, a merchant named Harvey stood frozen between two paths. Before him stretched a northern road promising wealth through its prosperous trade routes, while the southern path wound toward an uncertain destiny that stirred his heart. His mind churned with calculations, projections, probabilities, and logical deductions, yet each rational analysis only deepened his paralysis. The universe whispers guidance through the language of feeling, a wisdom far more ancient than thought. Your mind, precious as it is, sees only fragments of the infinite tapestry being woven. When you rely solely on logic to illuminate your path, you silence the deeper knowing that flows through your being. Harvey had always trusted numbers and facts, dismissing the subtle promptings of his inner voice as mere fancy. Yet as he stood there, his carefully constructed equations offered no clarity. It was then that an old woman appeared, selling flowers that seemed to glow with an inner light. "Why do you think the heart beats in your chest?" she asked him. "Could numbers alone sustain life? There is a wisdom in your body that knows the way before your mind can speak its name." The truth of her words resonated in his cells. The body is the temple where inner knowing dwells. Each choice you face creates a feeling tone in your being, a harmony or discord that speaks through sensation rather than thought. This is not the surface flutter of emotion, but a deeper resonance that aligns with your soul's trajectory. A wandering musician passed by, playing two melodies. One was technically perfect but sterile, the other raw but alive with truth. Harvey closed his eyes and felt how each affected him. The perfect piece left him cold, while the authentic one awakened something that felt like remembering. "Your body," the flower seller said, "is an instrument tuned to truth. When you face a choice, it will tell you through ease or constriction which path leads toward your highest good." The teaching lives in this. The universe speaks first through feeling, not thought. Your analytical mind serves as a valuable advisor, but not as the final authority. When you learn to read the subtle language of your body's knowing, you access an ancient guidance system that preceded words. Sacred practice. When standing at a crossroads, close your eyes and imagine each potential path before you. Notice which option allows your breath to deepen, your shoulders to soften, your energy to expand. That sensation of ease is your body's recognition of truth. Practice this listening until it becomes as natural as breathing, for it is through this door that your deepest wisdom flows. Chapter 26. The Radiance of Service. In the heart of an ancient village, Lottie tended to the community's needs with diligence, but weariness shadowed her spirit. Each morning, she would rise before dawn to help the elderly fetch water, yet her actions felt heavy with obligation. The weight of expectation had turned her service into a burden she carried like stones in her pockets. The law of giving flows through the universe like an endless river. When you serve from duty alone, you create resistance in this flow. True abundance emerges not from what you do, but from the spirit in which you do it. Release from your giving all traces of must and should, and watch as your actions transform from labor into dance. As seasons passed, Lottie noticed something shift within her heart. One morning, while helping old May with her garden, she found herself humming. The simple act of pulling weeds had become a meditation, a joy unto itself. She no longer counted her good deeds or anticipated returns. The doing itself had become the reward. This is the sacred alchemy of detachment, when service becomes its own blessing. The universe responds not to the action but to the energy behind it. When you give from overflow rather than obligation, you align with the natural abundance of creation. Your joy in giving becomes a magnet, attracting more occasions for joyful service. Later that year, a wandering wise woman passed through the village. Observing Lottie's radiant presence while serving at the communal kitchen, she shared an ancient truth. The bowl that gives freely is never empty. It is your delight in giving that keeps it full. This wisdom reveals the paradox at the heart of true service. The more freely you give, the more abundantly you receive. Not because giving earns rewards, but because joyful service attunes you to the infinite flow of universal prosperity. When you serve without attachment to outcome, you become a clear channel through which abundance naturally flows. Sacred practice. Choose one act of service this week, but approach it differently. Let go of all expectations of recognition or return. Serve purely for the joy of giving. As you perform your chosen service, focus only on the beauty of the act itself. Notice how this shift in energy affects both your experience and the ripples it creates in the world around you. This simple practice opens channels of prosperity that obligation keeps sealed. Chapter 27. The Embodied Manifester. In a bustling marketplace, a merchant named Vern stood behind his modest stall, his shoulders hunched and his voice barely above a whisper as he offered his wares. Though his dreams painted pictures of prosperity and success, his body told a different story, one of hesitation and doubt. Your physical form is the sacred vessel through which universal energy flows. When thought and action misalign, creation stalls at the threshold of manifestation. The universe responds not only to your mental pictures, but to the living testimony of your flesh and bone. Consider how water shapes itself to any vessel, taking on the form of its container. Similarly, the formless energy of creation molds itself to your physical expression. When you move through the world as if your desires have already manifested, you create a template for reality to follow. Vern's transformation began when he encountered an aging theater director who shared an ancient truth. The body knows no difference between pretense and reality when performed with conviction. This wisdom sparked a profound shift. Each morning, Vern began straightening his spine, lifting his chin, and speaking with the quiet authority of success, not as an act of deception, but as an honoring of what was becoming. Within weeks, his energy shifted. Customers responded differently, drawn by his newfound presence. His sales increased not through clever strategy, but through energetic coherence. The universe simply matched his physical frequency. The body is your most intimate partner in creation. It translates invisible intention into visible reality. When you walk as your fulfilled self walks, speak as your fulfilled self speaks, and move as your fulfilled self moves, you build bridges between potential and manifestation. Remember, the universe does not question whether you are pretending or real. It simply responds to the vibration you embody. Your physical form is a living prayer, a declaration of being. Let your body become the living proof of your intentions. Sacred practice. Upon waking, stand before your mirror. Observe your natural stance and expression. Now, consciously adjust your posture, facial expression, and movements to reflect the version of you who has already received everything you desire. Maintain this physical alignment for at least 5 minutes. Feel how your nervous system responds to this new arrangement. Let your cells memorize this frequency. Practice this embodiment throughout your day, in how you walk, speak, gesture, and interact. Your body becomes the living bridge between your current reality and your deepest desires. Chapter 28. The Circle of Creation. In a sheltered valley, a weaver named Opal sat before her empty loom, paralyzed by the ending of her last masterpiece. Her fingers traced the remaining threads, reluctant to cut them, fearing the void that would follow. The wisdom of creation reveals itself in cycles, not lines. What appears as an ending is merely energy transforming, seeking new channels of expression. Your desires and manifestations flow like water. There is no true beginning or end, only sacred transformation. Just as breath must flow both in and out to sustain life, the rhythm of creation requires both gathering and release. When you cling to what was, You dam the river of possibility that seeks to flow through you. Each completion creates space for fresh energy to enter. As Opal sat frozen before her loom, an elder craftswoman approached. Without words, she lifted a pair of scissors and with gentle reverence cut the final threads of Opal's finished work. "The ending honors the beginning," she whispered, gathering the loose strands and weaving them into a small circle. "See how these threads will now seed your next creation." Every manifestation carries within it the seeds of what comes next. When you resist completing a cycle, be it a relationship, a project, or a chapter of life, you deny yourself the fertile soil of new beginnings. The universe speaks in spirals, each turn building upon what came before while reaching toward what yearns to be born. Completion is not loss, but transmutation. Each conscious ending releases energy back into the field of infinite potential, where it gathers new form according to your evolving desires. When you bless what has been, you open the channel for what wants to become. The practice. Before initiating any new venture, pause to honor something you have completed. Light a candle and speak words of gratitude for what has been. Take 3 deep breaths, inhaling the essence of your past creation, exhaling blessing and release. Place a symbol of the completed cycle, a photo, object, or written word, in a special place, acknowledging its role in your journey. Only then, with conscious completion, step toward your new beginning. Chapter 29. The Light Beyond Fear. In times of global unrest, Floyd would obsessively check news feeds, his heart racing with each dire headline. The more he absorbed the world's turmoil, the more his own life began reflecting chaos and discord. His garden withered, his relationships strained, and opportunities seemed to slip away, all mirrors of his inner turbulence. The universal field responds not to what is, but to your perception of what is. When you fixate on discord, you amplify its frequency. This is not to suggest turning away from world events, but rather to understand that your point of power lies in maintaining inner harmony regardless of external circumstances. One morning, as Floyd sat trembling over his morning coffee and news feed, an ancient monk happened to visit his local cafe. Observing Floyd's distress, the monk sat quietly beside him and placed a small stone in his hand. "This stone has witnessed centuries of human history," the monk said softly. "Wars, plagues, empires rising and falling. Yet it remains smooth and peaceful, holding the memory of eternal calm beneath all temporary storms." The deeper truth reveals itself. Peace is not the absence of conflict, but the presence of an unshakable inner knowing. When you anchor yourself in this knowing, you become a point of light in the collective consciousness. Your steady vibration ripples outward, touching countless lives in ways you cannot see. The monk guided Floyd's attention to his breath, showing him how fear constricts not only perception, but also the natural flow of life force. "The universe," he explained, "always moves toward harmony. But this movement requires channels, human hearts brave enough to hold peace when peace seems impossible." As Floyd learned to shift his focus from global chaos to inner serenity, remarkable changes unfolded. His garden bloomed again. Relationships healed. Most significantly, he noticed how his calm presence affected others, how conversations shifted, tensions eased, and solutions emerged naturally when he maintained his center. This is the sacred alchemy. As within, so without. Every moment you choose peace over fear, you contribute to the healing of the whole. Your individual consciousness is connected to the collective field. When you elevate your vibration, you lift the frequency of all. The ancient practice. Each time fear arises, place a hand on your chest and repeat, "Only love is real." Notice calm ripple outward. This practice, passed down through generations of wisdom keepers, serves as a reset point for your energy field. The warmth of your hand anchors you in the physical, while the words align you with the highest truth. As your body relaxes, feel yourself becoming a lighthouse of peace in an ever-changing sea. Chapter 30. The Eternal Arrival. Along the ancient marketplace, Tessa arranged her wares each morning with meticulous care. For years she had dreamed of owning her own shop, and now that dream stood manifested in wood and stone before her. Yet, rather than feeling complete, she sensed a stirring, a quiet whisper that this achievement was not an end point, but a doorway. The universe speaks through layers of completion. What appears as arrival is truly an invitation to expand. Each manifestation carries within it seeds of greater becoming, like a flower whose blooming releases seeds for future gardens. As Tessa arranged her shelves one morning, a wandering wise woman paused at her doorway. The woman's eyes sparkled as she studied the careful displays. "Your shop is beautiful," she said, "but I see something even more beautiful taking shape within it." "What do you mean?" Tessa asked. "The shop is exactly as I imagined it." The wise woman smiled. "That is precisely why it must now become more than you imagined. The universe never concludes, it only transforms. Your shop is not a destination, but a vessel for continuous unfolding." Through this exchange, a profound truth emerged. Manifestation is not a finite event, but an eternal dance. When you grasp this, you release the weight of completion and embrace the lightness of continuous becoming. Your creations are not endpoints, but portals through which greater possibilities flow. As days passed, Tessa noticed how her shop began to evolve organically. New ideas bloomed without effort. Unexpected opportunities appeared. What she had once seen as her final achievement became a living, breathing entity that grew richer with each sunrise. The law reveals itself. Celebration of what is attracts what can be. When you honor each manifestation while remaining open to its expansion, you align with the universe's natural rhythm of eternal unfoldment. Sacred practice. As twilight approaches, find a quiet moment. Place your hand upon your heart and speak gratitude for one manifestation that feels complete in your life. Then, with the same reverence, acknowledge one dream still forming. Feel how both energies, completion and becoming, dance as one in the eternal now. This recognition aligns you with the perpetual flow of creation. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. Beyond the surface of everyday experience lies a truth as ancient as existence itself. You are not separate from the creative force that shapes worlds. This knowledge has always lived within you, waiting to be remembered rather than learned anew. What you hold now is not merely words on paper, but a mirror reflecting the infinite potential that pulses through your very being. The law of attraction speaks through these chapters not to instruct, but to awaken what your soul has never forgotten. You are the author of your reality, writing each moment with the ink of your consciousness. Every thought you release, every emotion you embrace, every action you take, these are not mere ripples in the cosmos, but deliberate strokes in the manuscript of manifestation. When you understand that you're never truly waiting for creation to begin, but rather allowing what already exists to take form, the illusion of separation dissolves. The 24 hours before it happens is not a countdown to possibility, but the sacred space of alignment, the breath between intention and manifestation. In this eternal now, as you breathe with awareness and love without condition, what seems impossible gently transforms into the tangible. You and the universe are not master and servant, but co-creators in an eternal dance of becoming. Each moment holds the potential for transformation, not because you must make it so, but because you already are what you seek to become. The power was never in the seeking, but in the recognition that you and the creative force of the universe move as one. This is not an ending, but an eternal beginning, a continuous unfoldment of the infinite through the vessel of your awareness.
If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.